We are super excited to talk to our guest today. Everybody, please welcome Sheila Wilson. Sheila is a super talented writer who created some of our favorite Warrior Nun episodes, and we are so beyond thrilled you took the time to talk to us today. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yay. Okay. Listen, I'm a writer too, so I'm super excited to talk to you. But the first question we have is, why did you decide to be a writer, and what drew you to television writing?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I think for me, backstory, abridged version. So I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky. But my family and I kind of grew up a little bit on the outskirts of the city. And so I had this experience where I was kind of in this more rural area, and we were like the only Black family in our neighborhood, and I didn't know any other queer kids, and I was queer. And so let's go. And so I think I gravitated originally towards like movies and TV just because it was the only place I saw myself mirrored in real life a lot of the times. And so I could still like recite most of Fresh Prince. Like I just watched like all these old like sitcoms and just movies that my parents loved. And so I think that was maybe like the first thing that kind of drew me to TV. But most of my life I thought I wanted to be a pediatrician when I was a kid. Long story, I was kind of sickly as a kid and I was just around doctors, and you kind of want to be what you see, right? So I'm like, oh, I want to do that. However, in high school, I went to like a magnet school that had an arts program, and I took a playwriting class as an elective, and that was my first mistake because I just fell in love with like theater, and I wrote and directed plays all through high school, and I think that was for me, I was just like, okay, like I think I want to do something in this world. And so I went to undergrad at a school in Chicago called Columbia College Chicago. And I just studied film in general because I was coming from theater and I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do in film and TV. I just knew that I liked it. And so I took classes in everything. Like I tried production design and cinematography and just like things that I'm not good at. But I took a screenwriting class, and one day my professor like pulled me aside after class, and she was like, I like your writing and I think it's good. And she told me about this program in LA called AFI. And she said that if I wanted to apply, she would pay my application fee. And so, which was very sweet of her. And so I took her up on that offer and I ended up getting in. And so I like sold everything and moved to Los Angeles for the screenwriting program at AFI, and it was amazing, very intense, but very good. I feel like I really honed my skills and kind of found my voice a little bit as a writer there. And I mean, that's the abridged version. I got lucky out of school. I ended up getting signed by a manager, and Warrior Nun season 1 was my first job 1 year later. So yeah,
that's
what a
amazing.
Way to start. Yay!
Wow.
My only response to that is, damn.
Yeah, for sure.
That's my response too. Like I tell people, like no one's more surprised than me. I'm so confused as to how all of this has occurred.
Also, this just shows how important arts are in school.
Mm-hmm.
True.
It really does.
Very important.
Yeah.
Very important.
Thank goodness for that professor.
Right?
Still in touch with her. She's one of my favorite people. Like I tell her all the time, I'm like,
so awesome.
I wouldn't have a career without you, so thank you,
Everyone needs one. I have a professor like that who has just helped me so much. So it's really cool.
Aww. It is. I love when teachers do that.
For television writers, can you describe what it's like to work in the writer's room versus having your own episodes?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because everybody like says like, oh, it's this person who wrote it, but then you hear about the writer's room where everyone is.
Yeah. So with TV, or at least my experience, or I could talk about Warrior Nun specifically since, here we are. So there were, I think, 7 of us plus 3 assistants in the season 1 room, and then less of us in season 2. But we all broke all the episodes together. So like in the room, we would just kind of come in and discuss the stories and, you know, the characters and what we wanted their arcs to be and where we wanted them to end up, like from episode 1 to episode 10 or episode 8 in season 2. And once we landed on, you know, what we wanted for the characters in the story, we would like go through each episode, all of us as a group, the writers, and just kind of write out the beats just very vaguely in terms of like what happens in each episode to try to break the episodes, and just discuss them and you know, try to, you know, avoid plot holes and just get them as tightly broken as we could. And then once we got all the episodes to that place where we felt like, okay, in general, we know what happens in each one, we were assigned episodes to write. Simon would kind of try and choose episodes that he felt like fit the voice of each writer. And so that was when we kind of went off on our own and like would write an outline for the episode you were assigned and then come back to the room. Everyone reads your outline. Everyone gives you notes. And then you might go back and revise your outline, or you might go back and take those notes and start writing the script and kind of incorporate people's thoughts and notes into your first draft of the script. And it would just kind of go that way. You know, we would draft the scripts and we'd all read our drafts and try to track like, oh yeah, like I wrote this and this, like this weird thing I came up with, could you pay this off in your episode? Or like, oh, like I came up with this thing, or I had this idea, maybe you could put it in your episode. And we would all just kind of collaborate in that way. So yeah, it was kind of a little bit of writing on your own in a corner and a little bit of everybody working together to try to find the best version of the story. So yeah.
So basically all the episodes are getting written at the same time?
Yeah, for Warrior Nun, they were. Yeah, it was kind of like we would all get assigned, and Simon would be like, "See you guys in a week. Have fun. Let me know if anything comes up. We can hop on Zoom and talk about it."
That's interesting. Awesome. You would think that would be like really choppy, like if it's everybody's writing a different one all at the same time and they don't know what's came before. I mean, you can have the story, but it's just that blows my mind.
Yeah, it was a little bit wild. I think the only time that episodes were written before each other, I think, was season 1, because Simon wrote the pilot. Like I remember we had finally broken the first season and kind of tried to come up with what the show was. And since Simon's the showrunner, you know, he's the ultimate voice of the show. And so he like went off to write the pilot and came back with like the first, you know, episode 1 Warrior Nun script. And we're just like, oh, so this is what the show is. I gotcha. Okay. I see what you're doing there. Yep.
I see you, Simon.
Yeah.
Well, our listeners absolutely love Warrior Nun.
That's an understatement.
It is an understatement. I don't think there's an English word that captures how much they feel about this show, and us included. What was your overall experience like working on that show from just like season 1 to season 2?
Yeah, so like I said, season 1 was my first ever job in entertainment, in television, just in general. And it was an amazing experience. Like I went in super nervous because, you know, like you hear all those horror stories about like writers' rooms where everyone's competitive and like mean and it's terrible. And like I'm like maybe 24 years old, like not really knowing what I'm doing. But season 1 was amazing. Like I feel like everyone in that room is so talented, first of all, but also, you know, me as a staff writer, I just felt so supported. And I kind of felt like I was surrounded by a lot of mentors who were kind of like teaching me the old ways of television writing, which was great. And just on top of that, you know, we were all so passionate about telling the story. And a lot of that came from Simon, you know, and the way that he really made sure the room was a really safe place for all of us, and that we could, you know, open up and tell stories about our lives and insert that into the show as much as possible. So yeah, it was incredible, and it was a lot of work. It was really hard. It was intense at times, but
sure.
What an incredible experience. Yeah.
I can imagine. That's so awesome. So I have a scene from 107 in particular that I love, and it's when Sister Crimson like cheap shots Beatrice when they're sparring,
Yes.
But the reason I love it is because later on when Beatrice gets her back, there's so much payoff when Beatrice just like owns her later.
Yes.
And so thanks for that. First of all.
You're welcome, but also that was a collaboration between myself and Suzanne Kaitlynn.
Hell
We
yeah.
co-wrote that episode together, and so she wrote the scene where Beatrice got her revenge. So just saying.
That's
Suzanne
amazing.
Sweet.
I love it. Well, tell her kudos. So
I will.
But it segues me into the question, which episode of Warrior Nun are you most proud of writing?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm proud of all of them. I feel like if I had to choose one, though, it might be 205, season 2, episode 5, just because it was the first episode of TV I ever wrote on my own.
Wow.
And so it was like the first time, Simon was like, "That's you, Sheila." I was like, "Let's go." But also I feel like it was really challenging episode to write in a lot of ways. There were a lot of moving pieces, and like the outline of that episode, the beats were very vague when we went off to like actually write the outline and write the script. And so a lot of it I just kind of came up with on my own. So it's very much like my episode in a lot of ways. And
that's awesome.
So I'm really proud of it. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
So cool.
Well, you did a wonderful job. So
Yes. Thank you.
Season 2 was just so phenomenal. Like and you should, if you watch our reaction videos, we are like blown away the whole time.
Yeah, it was insane.
I'm glad.
Except
you guys
the times where I was
enjoyed
just
it.
exhausted, but it was late at night. It wasn't your fault.
Understandable. I'm so glad you guys enjoyed it. I was blown away by season 2 as well, because before it came out, I hadn't really seen anything outside of like early cuts, and so seeing it all together and then seeing the amazing like actors and what they brought to everything, and like the changes they made on set, which I think elevated a lot of what we'd written. Like it was just, I was blown away too. I was like, oh gee, it's so much better than season 1, and season 1 was already good.
We agree.
It
was mind blowing.
Took it up 10 notches.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I mean, all the gayness did. Certainly,
the gayness helped.
Hit just right, let me tell you. And it was so like satisfying too, because we had been planning like since like maybe the first or second day of the writer's room of season 1. We were like, oh yeah, Ava and Beatrice are in game. Like we like planned that from the beginning. And like so when season 1 came out and all the fans were like shipping Avatrice, we were like, yes. Like they're in it. They're like into it. And so seeing like how excited everyone was to like see the relationship blossom in season 2 was just like, like I'm so glad that the fans like picked up on everything that we set up in season 1. So yeah.
You guys did a really good job. The actors did a phenomenal job.
Oh, they're amazing. They're amazing.
Well, so back to 205 specifically. Yes. Camilla, and Beatrice have an interesting dynamic shift in season 2 that culminates in an honest conversation, episode 205, when Camilla calls out Beatrice for her feelings for Ava. What factors drove the dynamic change between Camilla and Beatrice from season 1 to season 2?
It's a good question. I think one thing is that, in season 1, like I'm sure you guys have heard the story of the origin of Camilla, that like she wasn't even supposed to live past season 1 when we created her, but we loved her so much we wanted to keep her. She's kind of this Ricky kind of character in season 1, and she has a lot to prove, and she wants to be part of the team, but she's still learning, and she's very much me. I related a lot to Camilla in season 1. And so I think in season 2 we really wanted to like grow her arc and sort of deepen her character, and one way to do that is kind of to allow her to have a little bit of friction with Beatrice in certain ways. Like Camilla has learned a lot since season 1. She's been through a lot. They had this whole fight with Adriel that went south, and since then Camilla and Mother Superior have been holding down the fort of the OCS by themselves essentially while everyone's in hiding. And so, I think assuming that Camilla has taken on more responsibilities and has grown since then, like all of a sudden being back under Beatrice's charge would just naturally cause a little bit of friction because Camilla has grown and Beatrice has changed too in some ways, and they have to sort of come to terms with each other again. And so I think that's a lot of where their growth comes from in terms of their friendship and their relationship and maybe their sisterhood throughout the 2 seasons. But also in season 2, our actress for Shotgun Mary, Toya, had some scheduling concerns or some personal things, and so unfortunately she couldn't work with us in season 2. And so some of Mary's arc, some of what we originally planned for the Mary character went to Camilla. And so some of what you're seeing in terms of like Camilla confronting Beatrice about her feelings for Ava, that was originally a Mary scene that we gave to Camilla, which honestly I think it works really well. Like I think it's a really like beautiful and delicate scene, especially considering the friction between them previously, So yeah.
Yes, that was literally my next question, because the first time I watched that scene and Camilla's lines, like the dialogue, I was like, this sounds like Mary dialogue because of her like relationship with Shannon versus like Camilla having insight into Warrior Nun relationships.
Exactly. Yeah, that was originally a Mary scene, and we wrote it originally to imply that Mary and Shannon clearly were a unit, and that Mary could see that same thing in Beatrice and Ava. But also I think it works for Camilla because I believe it's season 1 episode 8, Camilla gives Beatrice and Ava the Warrior Nun book, lesbish,
The ship captain.
We call her the ship captain because of that.
Yeah. And so it's like Camilla clearly knows what she's doing. Like she might be sweet, but she's not that naive, like she pays attention. She knows what's happening.
Girl's not blind, all right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Also, it's a good moment of character growth from season 1 to season 2 because Camilla's becoming independent, not the rookie, and like calling out her former boss.
Yeah.
So it works totally.
It totally absolutely works.
Love that scene for Camilla.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
great dialogue.
Absolutely.
Yes. I think David Hayter did a little bit of a rewrite on that scene when it switched to Camilla, and it worked so well. So David, let's go. Kudos to Hayter.
Oh, David.
So many good people.
Just tell everyone we love their writing and they're awesome. That's all.
Oh, I will.
Better yet, just let's get all of you on a group interview call and let's just talk to everybody.
Reunion!
Yes, reunion.
I love it.
I will just write a spec script for 3.
Also, shout out to all the jokes in season 2. Also, they were all phenomenal.
Yes, thank you.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed. So we were cracking ourselves up in the writers' room. So.
Oh, I'm sure you were. I would have liked to have been a fly on the wall in that room, just to chill.
The creation of the erotic pastry van scene, just to like be like how that was developing. Yes, nuns in a van.
Yeah, they were having none of it.
No. Oh wait, show everybody your mug, also, please.
Oh my gosh,
yes,
I keep forgetting about it. Please. So this was a season 1 gift from Brendan Gallagher, he was the writer's assistant on season 1 and then a staff writer on season 2, and he gave one of these to all of us, and I keep mine. It's a good mug.
For the people listening at home who can't see it, it says "fucks I give?" ? And then it's a picture of a nun and it says "nun" and UN. Winking. It's perfect. And winking.
That's it. That
Thank you.
It is the winking.
It does.
Okay. So the scene after Ava falls after phasing out of the building during the Mother Superior and Company rescue was freaking heart-wrenching because Beatrice thinks that her greatest fear is coming true and that Ava might be dead. First of all, thank you for nearly breaking our hearts.
Sorry.
No, you're not.
No, you're not. This is lies.
But we're curious about the way their relationship developed and what you all wanted the audience to feel in that scene.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think that, you know, for that scene, it's a little bit of foreshadowing, right? For what happens at the end of the season. But also, you know, I think this is really one of the first times that for Beatrice, you know, she kind of professes her love a little bit to Ava in that moment because she thinks that she's gone or that she could lose her. And so it's a real turning point for them. It's a real moment of honesty for the two of them. And I think that, you know, I think for us, it's kind of the moment where if you're a viewer and you haven't been picking up on the subtleties throughout season 1 and the first part of season 2, well, like, this is like, you know, we're hitting you over the head with it. Like, there's something going on between these two characters, and it's not just friendship. They are not gal pals. They love each other.
Those people who think that are definitely not on Twitter.
True. Very true. So yeah, we wanted it to be, you know, especially for Beatrice, and you know, she's a person she's had to repress her true self and who she really is, and so, you know, for her, when, you know, she's pushed to the edge here and she has to let that part of herself out a little bit. So it's a tender moment for her, really, for both of them, and, you know, for the audience, it's showing them like how much these two care for each other. So yeah.
How self-aware were each of them about these feelings, do you think? Like, how long did each of them know that was a thing?
It's a good question. I mean, I think Beatrice has known the longest. I think that, you know, from season 1, even from when Ava first ends up at the OCS, when they like capture her after Jillian's thing, I think Beatrice has some feelings for Ava that she's trying to let go of, you know, because that's the whole reason that she's a nun in the first place, right? Is, you know, she's had to repress that part of herself. And so I think Beatrice has known the longest. I think Ava, like, the way I see Ava is she's kind of a puppy. Like, she kind of loves everyone. she's gotten this second chance at life, and she's kind of going through the world and just heart eyes at everything around her. And so I don't think that I think Ava had feelings for Beatrice, but I don't think Ava was aware of it or what it meant or how deep it was until much later on. And so, yeah, I think Beatrice knew first, and I think Ava was aware after the fact.
Because I know there's that scene in, is it in episode 1? Which episode is it? 201. With where she convinces Beatrice to drink with her, and then you have that moment, that kind of like slow-mo moment where Ava's looking at Beatrice dance, and she's like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, like I think Ava's that kind of person. I feel like it's the sort of thing that hits her all at once, you know, versus for Beatrice, it's been like slowly like simmering within her for like weeks and months on end, and she's just trying to ignore it. Ava's just like, you know what? Actually, kind of love you. I think IDK.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's so true.
IDK, you want to make out?
Yeah, like that would be sick. I'm just saying.
Just saying.
Have another shot. I don't know.
You're kind of pretty, I guess. I don't know.
That's so Ava.
Yeah.
So Ava, I love it.
I have a question, and not that labels matter, but for the podcast, is Ava bi?
Or pan? Or
I think Ava might be. I feel like I think of her as kind of pan. You know, like I feel like she could fall in love with anyone, and, you know, their gender is not really a factor for her. I think she's just the type of person who can just see through to everyone's heart and just love them where they are. And I think Beatrice is gay. I think Beatrice is a lesbian. Yeah, that's how I feel.
Guys, we need to update our slogan. It's not shots for by Jesus anymore.
Yeah, we have slogans. One of them is hydrate for lesbian Jesus.
I love that.
Because from Motherland, Fort Salem, we had lesbian Jesus in one of the characters. So then
cool.
Ava became either bisexual or pansexual Jesus, and we needed to nail it down. So thank you.
I think of her as pan. I think you have to ask Simon for the official word, but
right.
if you ask me, Ava can swing in any direction.
I'm glad we were on the right track. Excellent.
Oh yeah, that wasn't the actual question I was supposed to ask. So my official question is, in 207, there is a scene with sad Ava sitting on a queen-sized bed with 2 pillows. And we need to know, for science, if Ava and Beatrice were still sharing a bed at this point.
That's a great question. I cannot answer that question because I believe that was a decision made on set with the production designer and probably Simon, I think, who directed that episode. So you might have to ask them. But if you ask me, like, if you want to know what my theory is, absolutely, they were sharing a bed. I mean, come on.
You really lonely in the OCS compound. I'm just saying.
There are 95 fan fictions in that. Just saying.
I believe you. I have not read any of the fan fictions, but I believe you.
I just see them all in my head.
There are 95 fan fictions in Bree's head. Addendum.
In my head alone, not out in the world. I haven't read any.
It doesn't count the real life ones.
No, that's
not counting the
Bree's head.
It's a very specific number, but whatever. Because we had a thing with the bedroom that they were sharing in Switzerland, because we were like, this is the gayest room ever, number one.
And we asked Barbara about it.
Yes. She was like, I didn't realize it, but I'm glad that it came across that way. We're like, there was plaid everywhere, Barbara. How did you not know?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, I think they were. I think they were sharing a bed. But that's just me. I don't know. I'm a shipper, so I'm biased.
Yeah, for real. Well, Ava's a cuddler. Come on,
I feel like one of her love languages is touch, especially since she's
it definitely is
so much of her life.
She's a puppy.
She's a puppy. Exactly.
Beatrice, pet my hair, please.
I love the puppies.
Yes.
Yeah. Perfect.
I am a puppy.
I love it.
So, question though. So you wrote 3 episodes of Warrior Nun, but if you could have taken the helm to write a different episode from either season 1 or season 2 to write, which one would you have picked?
Oh man, which one would I have picked? There's so many good ones.
I know. It's a hard one.
I think I probably would have liked either season 2, episode 4, because I love the church fight. You know, I love a good action.
Yes.
You mean it's not because of the erotic pastries?
That would have been your episode.
I love an erotic pastry, you know, like just saying. But yes, I think probably season 2, episode 4, or probably season 1, episode 8. Just because I love the character development between Mary and Vincent in that episode, and I love Ava Beatrice reading the Warrior Nun book together, and there's just so much meaty goodness in that episode.
There is.
I love
Beatrice pretty much coming out in a way.
Yeah, I just think, but that said, I'm glad I didn't write those episodes, because I feel like the way that they are perfect, and I would just make it worse. So I think it's great.
I doubt that. Doubt that. But all right. So what would you want to see happen in season 3 if there was one?
If there were a season 3, what would I want to see happen? I mean, I think I'd love to see what the heck happened to Ava when she was on the other side with Rhea. Because, you know,
Totally.
at the end of season 2, we find out she's back from the glowing sword, clearly. And so love to catch up with her. You know, obviously deepen the Ava Beatrice story and continue it in some way. Like, I would love for them to get their happily ever after, you know? And that's not something that would be easy for them to get, especially considering that, you know, there's a literal holy war that's about to occur. And so I think it would be rife with danger and uncertainty and perhaps friction between the two of them. But ultimately, I would love to see them, you know, have their happy ending. And I think also just like see where the other characters have ended up. Like, personally, I would love to have a redemption arc for Vincent. Would love to.
I know it's gonna gut reaction with Vincent. I'm sorry.
Yes. I want to bring Vincent back. I've always been a Vincent apologist. I don't know.
Why?
Theora, tell her your name for Vincent.
Oh, I call him the not hot priest, like from Fleabag.
Fair. That's fair. That's very
Thank you.
fair. I respect that name. But
You
yeah,
would have to do a lot of making up.
Yes, exactly. But I just feel like, you know, he's kind of like, he's this person who made a lot of really terrible decisions, but he's also suffered a lot for his decisions, you know, especially in season 2. And so I would just like to see him like contend with the real consequences of his choices and maybe like come out a better human being. I think that would be interesting. And yeah, just see what happens with the other characters. You know, what's going on with Camilla and that cute boy she was flirting with, and, and also
what happened to her and Mother Superior? That's our question.
Good question. Very good question. Questions that would need to be answered in season 3.
There are so many questions for season 3.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
like
I love all the points you brought up.
Why am I am like blanking on her name. I can only remember her
Yasmin?
actual name. Yasmin, thank you.
Yeah.
All I can think of was Mina. All I can think of
Yeah.
is Mina. Anyway, I want to know if she joins the OCS. That's all I wanted to know.
That's a great question.
I just want more Yasmin. She's great.
We
She's
want more
great,
Yasmin.
right? I love her. I love her so much. And Mina did such a great job bringing her to life.
Yes.
You know, because when we wrote her, she was one of the only characters in season 2 that we wrote and didn't have a face for the actor because we hadn't cast her yet. And so like it was just like the magic of season 1, almost like seeing her bring Yasmin to life was just like, even better than on the page.
Yes. Good old Mina.
I really want to see Lilith back with the others more. Because like
Yeah.
that was something that was missing this season that I just like wanted, and I understand why they weren't like working together, but I like it when everybody's together.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Also,
Reminded
Mary's
me-
alive.
Yeah,
In our
I want Mary back.
Yeah.
Return of
Mary's
Shotgun
alive.
Mary.
She's not dead. So
Yeah,
There's
I'm
no
just saying.
body. There's no
She
body.
just
No body,
peaced
no
out.
crime.
She was like, actually, y'all, it's not for me. It's giving I'm gone. I think she could come back in season 3, and you know, I would really love to see Beatrice's backstory, like for real. Like, I would
Thank
love
you.
to
Me
be, like,
Absolutely.
meet her
Absolutely.
parents or see or know what
Mhm.
happened. Like, how did she actually end up in the OCS, and like,
Yes.
you know, what was the catalyst that drove her here? Like, I would just love to know her concrete story. So
Totally.
Yeah.
I have a
That's why somebody
theory on
needs to
Mary.
Pick it up.
ooh, let's go.
This is me coming up with random theories in my head. That's not an actual theory, it's just me writing random shit. Mary is just in the shadows being like, you guys need to learn to fight your own damn fights. And that's why she isn't there. Because she's sick
True.
of cleaning up their messes.
And we respect it. We love that for her. Period.
Mary's
Yeah.
just chilling.
Yeah.
Just chilling.
It's like,
She's chilling.
I can't keep taking care of this puppy.
Yeah. She's like, I'm tired. Okay. I'm older than all of you. I'm actually just going to go home, I think, and let you guys figure this one out. I like that.
We had a whole hike. I had to hike with the puppy for like forever in season 1. I'm over it.
tried to potty train the puppy, didn't really
Exactly.
work.
Yeah.
The puppy could get really aggressive too.
Yeah,
He likes to punch
really
first and ask
unpredictable.
questions later.
Yeah, don't like puppies.
We could talk about Warrior Nun forever, but I also want to get to know you better, and our audience to get to know you better as well. So, we have to talk about the Black Book that you created. Can you explain what it is and why it is so important?
Yeah, of course. So the Black Book is something that I started along with the WGA Committee of Black Writers back in 2019. And like for context, there was an action in the Writers Guild, which by the way was awesome. Like we all supported it, where all of us writers like left our agencies kind of in protest of their packaging practices, which were kind of making them bad fiduciaries basically for writers, and you know, it was making them a lot of money but making us not that much money, and so we left them in protest during that year. And so everyone lost their agents, and you know, there was a concern, especially amongst like minority writers and LGBT writers and different groups of writers, that like this would be bad for representation, because you know, a lot of studios, a lot of shows, a lot of movies will just like, they'll be like, oh, like we can't find Black writers, and now that we can't go to the agencies and ask them for their list of Black writers because you're all striking, I guess we'll just hire the straight white man again. You know, like there was a concern that like that was going to happen.
That is a very valid concern.
I mean, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so with the help of the Committee of Black Writers in the WGA, I started a list of Black writers that we called the Black Book. And we sort of listed, I think it's over 250 at this point, Black writers in the WGA who are available for work in various different genres, you know, drama, comedy, animation, video games, like anything like you could think of. They all work in those different mediums, and we spread it around to different studios and different people who are hiring to say like, hey, like please do not say that you can't find Black writers. And it ended up being this really huge thing, and I was kind of blown away by it because, you know, it was something that came up in the committee, and I just came up with it's just a Google Doc. Like it's really not that complicated. But people were like, oh my gosh, Sheila, like you made the Black Book. Like I even got on 30 under 30 for it, and I'm just like, it's just a Google. It's really
like,
just a Google Doc. Like like I promise.
But it's that the fact that you were like, let's do this, and you took the initiative to create something that helped so many projects and people in a time where this is what was needed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you should be recognized for it.
Well, thank you. I am very proud, and like to this day, writers will message me and say like, you know, I just got hired off of someone who found me on the Black Book. Like literally that happened like a couple of weeks ago. Someone sent me that email. And awesome. So it like warms my heart that A, people still use it, and B, that it's helped so many writers get jobs, especially in this economy.
So,
yeah.
No joke. That's so amazing.
So how did it feel to learn you were on the Forbes 30 under 30 list? That's a big accomplishment. How did that feel?
It was wild, to be honest. Like so for context, before the list came out, like I got contacted by one of the editors at Forbes, and they were like, hey, we're considering you for the 30 under 30 list. Can you like send us some more information about yourself? And I was just like, first of all, how did you find me?
Right.
Second of all,
that's not hard.
Why? Probably not. It's probably not that hard. But I was just like, who are you people? And it's kind of ironic because I've always been the type of person who's like, I hate those kinds of lists because they just make people feel bad about themselves, and it doesn't matter what age you are, like your accomplishments still matter, like ageism is bad. Like I've always been that person, and so for me to get contacted about being on the list, I was just like, oh no, this is good. I'm gonna look like a hypocrite. Like this is crazy. But I was like, they're just considering me. Like maybe I'm not gonna be on. And then the day that the list came out, like several of my friends were like, oh my gosh, Sheila, like congratulations, you're on Forbes Under 30. And I was like, what? Because it was like 3 months later and I hadn't heard anything back. So I assumed like, oh, I'm probably not on the list. No way. But I made the list. So it was very unexpected and ironic considering my ageism stance. But here we are. Yeah.
Just take it.
Anyway, congratulations.
Thank you. It was cool.
Anyway, it comes recognition. So, well, you participated in AFI's Writers Room Ready as a recipient and then went on to become a mentor yourself. Can you talk a little bit about that program?
That was really cool. So I believe it was before I graduated. Like all the writers in the writing program at AFI can submit like what they think is their best TV script, and it's sort of judged by a bunch of AFI alumni who work in the industry in various ways, and all the scripts are like given points, and then I think the top 5 scripts get chosen for Writers Room Ready, where you basically get paired with an AFI alumni mentor to sort of help you in your career just as you're coming out of school. And so I had originally at school written a script called No Quarter for Wild Beasts, which was kind of based off of it's based off of the stories of the Black Panthers in Chicago in the 60s. Because my grandpa used to kind of run in those circles when he was younger. He would tell me stories when I was a kid. So I kind of wrote a little bit of that based off of him and his life in Chicago. And that script got me Writers Room Ready, which was amazing. And I got paired with an incredible mentor who worked with me all that year and just gave me really great advice, especially like right after I got hired on Warrior Nun. I had so many questions and she was there for me. So thank you very much if you're watching. And so, yeah, then I think it was a few years later, one of my old screenwriting professors from AFI reached out to me and was like, hey, I know that you benefited from Writers Room Ready, so we're wondering if you want to do it too. And I was like, sure, that would be so cool, but also, wow, I get to be a mentor. I don't know what I'm gonna say. Like, I hope I can help them. But my mentee was incredible. Literally, like within a year of us being paired together, she won the Screenwriting Nickel Fellowship. Oh, wow. And her career has just like taken off since then. And so I'm just really honored to be part of the program and to see both sides of it and to have been able to help a little bit, in my own way. So, yeah.
To watch your little baby go off into the world.
Exactly. I mean, but she was talented without me. She had really good questions, and I was like, I will try to give you my best answers, but this is this industry makes no sense and nothing matters and everything's confusing. Exactly. So here we go.
It's like a game of whose line is it anyway?
Exactly. Everything's made up. The points don't matter.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, you basically answered my question, but I'm going to change it and completely change the topic real quick. So when I was creating questions, I went through your Twitter, and the common theme that I saw was video games.
Yes.
And Bree is our resident video game expert, so I just wanted to give the time for you two to geek out about it. Theora?
Video games!
Dinner.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I went through your Twitter too because we're those kind of people. And so what games have you been playing this year?
I play everything. Recently I finished God of War Ragnarok, which I really enjoyed. Yeah. I honestly liked it more than 2018, I think. I need to play it again, but I really enjoyed it. I also played this indie game that came out 2 years ago, but I'm late, called Omori. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. I know what
That
you're talking
game
about.
was crazy. Like it's so, like, I think, content warning for just about anything in that game if you're thinking about playing it, but it's really just a really powerful experience. Like, I had like full body goosebumps through a lot of that game.
Oh, that's amazing.
I've been on a Fortnite kick with my friends. They're like,
They're
like got back into Fortnite, and I'm like, okay, sure, let's do that, I guess.
I get into Fortnite every once in a while, and I think my time is coming up because I can kind of feel the need to go shoot some things. But I'm mostly a Destiny main. Like Destiny has been my thing for a long time. But so I mainly just do Destiny and Apex Legends. So
Apex, let's go. I love
Yes.
Apex. I've never played Destiny. I know that I need to try it because I have a lot of friends like you who are like in it. But Apex, I love some Apex.
Yeah, I do too. I suck at it, but I love it.
Same.
It's a love-hate relationship. We should be terrible together.
Yes, absolutely.
Then I won't feel bad about getting being the bad person in the random. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. You got the bad person. It's cool though.
That's me. I'm like, please carry me. Please. I want to be carried.
Yes. Exactly. Well, I don't want to like bore Theora and
I mean, who doesn't want to be carried? That was relatable. I'm
just
saying.
Just pick me up. Carry me to victory.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just in life, you know?
The closest thing I get to games is Among Us. And I try to
love
bring
Among
them
Us.
with me.
Yeah, we try to play together. We're trying to play together. So we're gonna get Theora in there someday.
One day.
Fun.
I don't know what that is, but someday.
Fun fact, Writer's Room Warrior Nun, we were obsessed with this card game called One Night Ultimate Werewolf, which is basically like board game Among Us, where like someone's the werewolf and you have to deduce who it is. We would play that like almost every Friday after the room. Like, we would just stay at the office and play werewolf.
That sounds amazing.
So fun. It's like Who Did It or whatever.
Yeah.
That's
basically Among Us.
But I have one more question, video game related, and then we can move on. But what do you play on? What's your platform?
Everything. I play on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, Switch. I'm like sitting next to my PlayStation 5 controller right now.
Oh, nice. That's
She's ready for me.
She is. I'm in the PC master race.
Yes,
I got rid of all my consoles, but what can you do?
We love PC.
Yeah, we do. All right, time for you guys to take it back.
All right, so to switch gears a little bit back into just media as a whole. So we talk a lot on this podcast about quality representation, like in media and where we are now. So how do you feel the industry is currently doing with like providing representation?
I think there are pros and cons. I think that in some ways things have gotten a little bit better. You're seeing more shows and movies being fronted by women and by queer people and by people of color on the surface. But that said, I think that we're lacking in terms of behind the scenes. There are not a lot of women and queer people and people of color telling their own stories. And on top of that, I think that there is a reluctance in media in general to commit to those stories being told fully. I think that we see, like, not just with Warrior Nun, but you see like a lot of shows being canceled and a lot of projects just not being given a chance to blossom. And so I think that's a big issue. And also I feel like sometimes the representation is a little bit generic. Like, and I think some of that stems from, again, like women and queer people and people of color not being able to tell their own stories because it's often filtered through like a white straight lens, and that makes the story feel inauthentic and maybe even a little bit tokenized. And so I think, while, like I said, on the surface, to an extent, like at least we're seeing these different characters and stories on screen, like at, you know, bare minimum. But I just think that we have such a long way to go in terms of like true representation and like showing the full breadth of humanity of these characters. Because, like I said, like when I was growing up in Kentucky, TV and film were often the only places that I saw myself mirrored even a little bit. And like right now, when I think about other kids growing up in places looking to see themselves mirrored, I don't know how many of them are seeing that in an authentic way today in 2023, which is disturbing. And so, yeah, we have a long way to go. We've come a long way. We have a long way to go. That's how I feel.
Yeah, it feels like we come a long way and then we regress, and then we have to push forward again. So it's a bit frustrating, but you're right. Like we've come a long way from like 17-year-old little me in Arkansas watching Buffy and being like, gay people.
Exactly. We've come a long way from there, but oh boy, we have a long way to go.
And we went backwards a little bit.
Yeah.
We could talk about that all day, but
literally all day.
Literally.
So thank you for being in the writer's room, being one of those behind the scenes people who like puts it through a really valuable lens for other people to see that is not the straight cis white lens, because it's really tiring and honestly boring. Really like
it's tiring and it's boring, and you can always tell. Like I feel like I can always tell, and it's like, ooh, you didn't have anybody who looked like that in the writer's room, did you?
No, not at all. It's so So when there is a show that pops up that makes you really feel the genuine, like this is a real, these are characters who are cared for in their queerness and, you know, and everything that just, that's why Warrior Nun grabbed us so much, because it showed the natural way that it developed, the care that was given to it. And it was just really helpful, I think, to see someone like Beatrice on screen reflecting that back to an audience. So thank everyone for that.
Thank you guys for embracing her. Like I just feel like, you know, we really wanted to make her real. All of them, all the nuns, but you know, Beatrice specifically, like we wanted to make her real, and we wanted her to reflect us. And so I think she does. And you know, when I see her, I'm proud of her. I'm like, if I was like a little queer girl growing up, if that was me right now, I would feel reflected by Beatrice. So yeah,
absolutely. Talking to Christina about it was like really cool, because we got to see it from her perspective, and now we're seeing it from your perspective, and that's what we really love, and like that's why we're here. So yay. But
yay.
I took us off topic, but is there anything in your writing career, like what's the ultimate accomplishment for you, do you think, or do you have one?
Like thing I've already accomplished or thing I want to accomplish?
Want to accomplish.
Ooh, okay. I think that for me, I would love to have my own show one day, you know, be the Simon Barry of my own show. That would be pretty sick, you know.
Someone get her own show.
We
get
would
her show,
too, please.
We're right there behind you.
I would watch anything you write. Thank you.
We will watch anything you write. Period.
Especially if it's gay.
Oh, don't worry. Since I'm gay, it'll be gay. You don't have to worry about that.
Thank you.
It certainly won't be straight. that I feel like that would be something that would be incredible, and behind the scenes, that's definitely something my team and I are working on. And then also, I'd love to work more in film. I recently had the opportunity to write a feature with Suzanne Kiley, who I worked with on Warrior Nun, which was really exciting.
Nice.
But I'd love to branch out more into that and write more films and maybe even direct one too. That in my back pocket as well. So
hell yeah,
those are things. Yeah,
we're here for that ambition.
Thank you.
You talked about it a little bit, but do you have anything currently in the works?
Yeah, well, I just signed on to a television show for Amazon. I don't know if I'm allowed to say what it is yet, so I won't. But I signed on. Camera. Yeah, off camera. Congratulations. Thank you. So I'm working on that, and then like I said, I wrote a movie with Suzanne, which is exciting. And I have some other things in development. I just finished a new pilot that my team is sending around, so we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Well, let us know, and we will signal boost as much as we can. Anything you have.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Oh, heck yeah. Well, that wraps up the questions that we have for today. But before we sign off, do you have any final words for the listeners at home?
Well, thank you to the listeners at home. I know that a lot of you are probably listening for that sick, sweet Warrior Nun content, and so I feel like I would just like to say that, myself and all the writers on the show, like we're blown away and overwhelmed by your support and by how much you love and connect to the characters in the story, and just, thank you for everything. Like, you guys are amazing, and lots of love to you. I'm making a heart with my hands. If you're not watching on camera, it's a heart. I love you.
Heart, we'll make it back. Well, thank you again for taking the time to talk with us. We really appreciate it, and we loved getting to know you better.
Yes, you guys too. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Oh, anytime.
You can come back any freaking time.
Yes, we can nerd out about other gay content and media together, because I am also a fan. So let's go.
Yes.
See? If you want to come on any episode, you want to just come on every week.
Yeah, we're getting into a league. We're gonna get into a league of their own. We're gonna get into everything else. So
I love a league of their own.
Isn't it great?
Good. It's so good. It's so
good. And maybe you have some perspective on that you could share at some point when we get into it. So amazing. Maybe we'll see you in the future. And to everyone at home listening, make sure you go check out Warrior Nun, because it's amazing. We love it. Anyway, thank you and see you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. And with that, we've been Big Gay Energy. If you like this episode, check out all our other episodes right here on YouTube. Please leave a comment below, and subscribe for more amazing super gay content.
If you'd like to support us, check out our merch store, or join our Patreon for early access to episodes, exclusive content, and so much more.
Until next time, stay safe and hydrate for lesbian Jesus.